positive, because I think every fan could see that those players, given the fact that, is it probably the only team we could put together, but they gave everything.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. So let's go back and sort of try and dissect the game in absolute excruciating minutiae detail. So what were your thoughts on the first half? Sarah, you've been very, very quiet. I'm not sure you got to see the game or what, but you've been very, very quiet. So I'll give you a chance to come in and have a word.
I napped for the first 9 minutes, if I'm honest. Fell asleep at kickoff and woke up 9 minutes in, so I can't comment on the first 9 minutes, but we scored very soon after me waking up, and I was like, maybe I should have another nap.
Well, no, not necessarily. I think possibly the other way. I think if you'd actually been awake at kickoff, then we wouldn't have almost conceded a minute into the game, because the first. Oh my God! After the first minute, 2 minutes, I thought, fuck, we are absolutely in from absolute fucking tonking today. They had like really. Robertson had a real clear cut chance, and you thought, shit, we got away with one, and it looked initially that we just weren't going to be able to compete, and then we kind of turned it around, I think, and grew into the game. I think if you listen to Klopp, who is a horrible sort. I mean, they didn't even fucking lose, so it's hard to say he's a sore loser because they didn't lose. But he's clearly a sport brat, and the way
he's grown into a Liverpudlian, hasn't he? That's what he's done. He's grown into an entitled Liverpudlian.
Well, no, but I think it's all these ones that are used to winning stuff that they do have a sense of entitlement. So
exactly.
Everyone thinks that Guardiola is really nice until things don't go his way, and then he suddenly turns into a real nasty piece of work. And Klopp's showing to be the same. Things don't go their way, and I mean, he said we were 5-3-2 kicking long, but we literally weren't. We tried to play into spaces they left and tried to hit them on the break. And I thought tactically, Conte got it spot on. I thought, I think
we did a bit of both, didn't we? We weren't shy to go in behind when we were under pressure, and there was someone on the shoulder and there was space in behind. We played it in behind. But as you said, it was an inexperienced defence, and they didn't know whether it was going to go into feet or go behind them. And that in itself had them asking a question before they were either looking left or right to see where Harry or Son was. Next minute, Royale's on the overlap or Sessegnon's getting in behind. They didn't know whether they were coming or going.
Was that? And actually, talking of Sessegnon on the overlap or on getting in behind, that seemed to be a pre-rehearsed outlet ball, because there was a couple of times when Dyer got the ball, you saw Sessegnon really go high and start to make the run, and the pass didn't come, so he'd stop, come out a little bit, and then he'd wait and he'd reset, and then he'd look for the pass again. And I think Dyer tried it. He tried it he did it in free play, did it again in free play. He tried it on a free kick, I think, that got pulled back. I think as he was about to take the free kick, the referee pulled it back, and he still tried the move immediately afterwards, when he got the chance to take the free kick again. So it's clearly somewhere that Conte thought we would have.
We needed to try and pin their fullbacks in, didn't we?
Yes.
As well. We needed to make them think about going backwards.
And I think it's clear that Trent Arnold is not as good a defender as he is an attacker, and that's even Gareth Southgate, who was much maligned and criticised by all of the UK apparently. even he's aware of that, because he chooses not to play him as a defensive defender. He'll play him, he plays him as a higher player in his formation. So
Steve, just going back on your point there, when you mentioned about Klopp's behaviour, I thought it was outrageous at times, and on the touchline he got a yellow card, didn't he, for his behaviour?
He should have got a red card.
Yeah,
he should have got, because he got a yellow card. I'll let you. Sorry, before you continue, Lee. I mean, he got the yellow card for remonstrating with the referee, and then he showed disrespect for the referee by sarcastically bowing to the referee, which is another yellow card. So he should have been yellow carded again and sent off. But sorry, but
that behaviour aside, right? I mean, in the heat of the moment, you can understand to some degree. I mean, he should be able to set a better example than that, I think. But then afterwards, I'm not sure what it is, whether it's a sense of entitlement or whatever it is, but he's disparaging comments like you were saying about them accusing us of having these long balls. But all we were doing is the same tactic as Mane was doing, is knocking the balls over the top. And exactly what he was doing. Yeah. And that was the way to undo him. That was the only, that was the right tactic. And Mane did exactly the same.
100%.
So I don't know. Yeah.
And that's generally how they play as well. So, the only time they actually play through the pitch is when they're playing on a high press and win the ball back in those areas. So they might win the ball back in midfield and then play. But if they've got the ball in defence and they go long, they look to go long, look at playing behind, try and get Salah or Mane in behind. So, I don't know if he's trying to deflect from the fact that actually we out Liverpooled Liverpool in terms of the tactics that they tried to adapt. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I thought it was a good performance from players like Winks and Dele. I thought had a good game. And I know that when we kind of caught up at half time, there were a couple of comments around a few players that probably weren't maybe as sharp as people wanted them to be, but I don't know about you, but where all I heard around the stadium, half time and at full time, we should have been 3-0 up at half time. Should have been 3-0 up. We should have been 3 up at half time. We could have been 4 up at half time. Our decision making in that final third. If we were a lot more clinical, that pass that Kane played to Son, where he just I thought initially he'd hit the post, but I think it went beyond the post, didn't it? But he played it across the box in the air. Normally, that goes along the ground. He plays it along the ground. It's a goal, And Dele's one, if he opened his body out a little bit, he just passes it in to into the far post rather than going across the keeper.
He did tip that round, didn't he?
He did. It's a great save.
It was a great save. You've got to give him credit for that. I mean, I thought, obviously, listening to it, and then I didn't see it until the evening. The commentary said that he'd missed the target, but actually it was a really, really full stretch fingertip round, wasn't it? And I think, as much as we were profligate in some of the opportunities that we had a couple of times between Kane and Son in the box and around the box, any other keeper in that goal, we would have been 3 or 4 up, perhaps.
Yeah, I agree.
But you're talking about Winks and Ali there, who we all were surprised for the games they had. But for me, it's maybe simplistic, but actually this just shows what a good manager can do.
I agree. I don't think it's simplistic at all. I think you're spot on the money. And it's not just Lee. I don't think it's just not just about his man management, but I think it's about how he tactically sets the team up to. In order to how he wants us to play. He clearly has instilled a level of confidence in players that in all the squads. This isn't just about the starting 11 or the traditional 11 or 13 or 14 regular players that we're used to seeing. This is about 16, 17, 18 players that are fucking put your body on the line, give your heart and soul for this club and for this team and for the fans, and it will be reciprocated back to you. And to see performances like Winks and to see performances from Dele hasn't put in a performance like that for
excellent.
I can't remember.
Yeah, 2 years at least.
Remember.
Yeah,
and that is, it's not just in it. With Dele, everyone says Dele's a confidence player, and maybe he is, but he actually fucking worked hard as well. He actually worked really, really hard. And by working hard, I think he got that confidence or that bit of luck. So things like where there was a bit where he pirouetted on the touchline and flicked the ball off of one of their players and got us the throw in. And then there was that bit where he went in between the two players. this is stuff that we haven't seen from him for ages, and you can't say that
the fans
he's suddenly got confidence. Yeah.
Because have you heard it? I definitely heard it in my end. But when Ali went off, they all started singing, "We've got Ali."
It had broken. They did try and break into that a little bit earlier in the game as well when he'd done a few bits. So
he's now looking like a £5 million player, isn't he? It's been a long time since he looked a £5 million player. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like him, and actually, I think fundamentally our formation and our system that we've been trying to play, he doesn't fit into, which is another reason why his performances have dwindled. But I think in a 3-5-2 where he's got a bit of license to run past the two centre forwards and drift in and out, he's brilliant in that formation. And we've been trying to play a 4-3-3. He's never going to play in that formation. Bit like Doherty as a right back. No.
Well, yeah, I mean, he what's his name? When Conte came in, it was a 3-4-3, wasn't it, that we were playing? So, and again, as you say, there's no place for him in that system. There really isn't. No. It just isn't that. No. What I'd like to do, though, I want to touch on a point that something that's close to your heart, Lee. I mean, we talk about, I think we talk about Tungi, and, there's still a lot of lack of patience with him, and quite rightly, I think. I mean, he's been there a few seasons now, and even in a good performance yesterday, in a good team performance yesterday, his good moments were fleeting. He set up Kane's goal, but again, in terms of overall impact, I mean, I think he's still, for me. So after setting up Kane's goal, he then got the ball, and he did a turn and got dispossessed because he turned into two Liverpool players. I don't know if he just thinks he's got more time than he has. But my very long-winded point really is around whether you would, from Tongi's performance, would you prefer a Tongi and Dembele in the side or a Højbjerg in the side, Lee?
I'm going to say Tongi. Because ultimately, I know he got dispossessed, but that was absolutely sublime, that pass he passed to Kane for that goal. And given time, given a run, I'm not saying he may well go out in January. I don't know, or in the summer, because it's taken him a long time to settle. But in terms of potential, in terms of skill, it's got to be Ndombele every single time, because I know that the Viking gives us all blood and guts, and but he's very limited as a player, and that
is he though? Is he? Because if you look at him for Denmark, he isn't limited. He's a creative player that makes things happen. He plays higher up the pitch. He scores. He assists. His all-round contribution is very good. So, is he a limited player?
I mean, I'm only basing what I see. I mean, I haven't really watched much of Denmark, so I can't really say with any kind of accuracy what he's like for them. So I'm just basing upon what I see, and I've got no. I'm not saying he's awful. I just think he's just he's all passion. He's an average player. He's a decent player, but no more. Whereas the difference is that unfortunately, where he's let down on Dembele is of course his application and his desire potentially. I mean that, but his skill is undoubted. I mean he has to be one of the most skillful players in that team, and it's a crying shame.
Yeah,
no manager seems to be able to really get that consistency from him.
Do you think that's literally just a case of a run of games, or do you feel that the Premier League is actually just too fast a pace and too physical a game for him? I mean, we know there's no. I reckon 100%. If he goes to Spain, he goes to Italy, he goes back to France. Mm-hmm. He's going to set all those leagues alight immediately.
Oh, yeah.
He goes in there and he sets them alight, and everyone goes, "Why the fuck couldn't he do that for us?" Yeah, but is it simply that a run of games is all he needs to really adjust and attune to the demands of the league, or is it just that where the pace is just too fast and it's too physical?
I think probably Sorry, I was going to say just quickly, it's probably the latter, Steve. Unfortunately, sadly, because the number of managers have probably